Are you ready for the new normal? Our lives may never be the same after this coronavirus pandemic. That may sound a little alarming because I think a lot of people think that this thing's going to blow over in the next few weeks. And so they're like willing to put up with whatever their government tells them to do, such as social distancing, like curfews and everything else, just because they're afraid for their lives, and therefore they're willing to give up any amount of freedom that they need to because good old government is here to save us. Well, I don't think that's the case. I think, as usual, government is the problem and not the solution. To be honest, I recorded a video with the same topic, but before I was able to upload it, I came across another post that shocked my mind enough to, one, confirm what my suspicion was, and two, I had to mention the post in the video. So I'm just doing a whole other video for you guys right now. And I'll show you that post in just a minute, but I just want to kind of propose a few thoughts and ideas that I think that we all need to be thinking about. I do think that a new normal is being created, and pretty soon the old normal will be forgotten. I think there will be a sequence of events that happen that give the government more power to take freedom away from us. This is a trick that has been pulled on the people time and time again. I mean, I can't even count how many examples I can think of, and I'm pretty sure there are far more than I'm aware of. This has probably been pulled over on people from all ages and all parts of the world. And I think now it's being pulled on us. Really not just us, in the U.S., but I think the whole world. Because the conspiracy theorists were warning people for a long time that they are trying to bring in a new world order. This was a conspiracy theory for a long time, even though people like George Bush said it. So I think the new world order is here, and they're just not telling anyone. They're disguising it as a pandemic, and they're using it as an excuse to gain lots of power over the people. I think that this will slowly become more and more apparent as more time goes by, as people see videos like this and are, compelled to think outside the box, and also as the government takes away our liberties. What starts off as a recommendation to keep groups under 1,000, then turns into 500, then turns into 250, and now it's down to 10. The thing is the First Amendment gives us, actually, I'm sorry, it doesn't give us any rights. The Constitution just is there to protect the rights. It's there to put verbiage to make it clear that these rights are given to us by the Creator, which is God, and it's just a little piece of paper saying, hey, government can't do this. But the First Amendment protects our right of assembling peacefully, which means gathering in groups. Why would that be? Why would that be? Why would the First Amendment, everyone knows it as a freedom of speech amendment, but it's less known as giving us, protecting our right of peaceful assembly. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why that is protected under the First Amendment. And I think very soon people are going to start knowing this, and they will start appreciating that protection. You see, if government wants to round up a bunch of people, maybe throw them in concentration camps, it's much easier to do it if there are no groups larger than 10. So I don't want to get too off into the deep end on what I think will happen, because I do think that this could potentially be far worse than what people can imagine. But that's not the topic of the video. I will do more stuff. Let me know. Let me know what you want to see. Ask questions. Leave a comment below, and I'll do videos on it. But for right now, I just want to kind of introduce this idea of things slowly moving towards a new world, to the point to where it's stretched out so far into the future that we begin to forget what it was like in a pre-coronavirus world. We are entering a post-coronavirus world, and in some regards, we may never, ever live in the world that we lived in before this. It may never go back to what was normal before. Now, I know that may sound like BS to a lot of people, but again, this post that I came across kind of, is evidence, not absolute proof, but it's evidence that this is where it's all going. In fact, I thought that before I even started seeing the post showing that, basically warning us to prepare for this to go on for 18 months. I think what's going on is they will get us used to this being a way of life until the vaccine is produced. And the vaccine will probably come and be the savior, and what saves us from coronavirus. And then we have to take the vaccine to be allowed out. Because I'll tell you right now, there's already people that are getting pieces of paper from their jobs, showing that they work at that place, because they know pretty soon we're not going to have the right to just drive around freely. So we're going to have these pieces of paper that we can give to the officer when we get pulled over to show, hey, look, I work for Walgreens. I'm on my way to work. And we're going to need that kind of permission to be on the roads. I mean, this is really, beyond what anyone predicted, really. This is a dystopian world being built right in front of our own eyes. And it will be built slowly. Like the story goes, if you have a frog in water and you turn the heat up too fast, the frog will notice the change in temperature and jump out. But if you turn up the heat slowly, the frog will be unaware of the increase in temperature and will stay in the water and die. And I think that's the method that's going to be used. People aren't going to notice this. They are already accepting it, and then it's just going to slowly be more put in place over time as our freedoms are diminished. It's not going to be as drastic because we didn't have that much freedom yesterday, so now we just lost a little bit more freedom. We've already lost a lot, and I don't see anyone talking about this. Just like as in the past, we didn't have cell phones, so it's hard for me to look back in the past and I wonder, I'm like, how did we get by without cell phones? How did I even get somewhere? I was late getting onto the whole GPS thing, where I would use a GPS to get me everywhere I wanted to go. And now I've only been doing it a few years. And already I don't remember how I would get around before. It's really bizarre to me. It's like I have no recollection. I also lived a long time before cell phones. And it's hard for me to imagine life without a cell phone. How do we get a hold of people when we're riding around? How do we keep in contact? It didn't seem like a problem at the time, but now looking back at it, I have no idea how we communicate with people without a cell phone, or how we drove around without GPS on our cell phone. I suspect their plan is to stretch this out over a long period of time, and over time we will forget what life was like before the coronavirus. Whenever the government gets its hands on something, it's really hard to get it off, right? So this has happened over and over again. A lot of times what's happened is during war times, certain laws are passed, certain powers are granted to the government, And then once the wartime is over, the government just keeps those powers. Same thing happens with toll roads that are supposed to be funded by the tolls, but then once the toll is there and the road has been funded, where they just keep collecting the money. We've been bamboozled by government more times than I can count. And I think this is another one. So have we seen a recommendation to not stay in large groups, then turns into smaller groups and smaller groups and smaller groups. And some places are already doing what they call a shelter in place. And, the National Guard is already being called, and lots of states. And, you can't keep up with the news. Every day it's something new. Two states, I think Illinois and New York City. I'm not sure about the state, but New York City, both are in shelter in place as of today. And, I just did a video called, it's not about safety, it's about control. And basically I showed examples of Pennsylvania shutting down liquor stores, a gun shop in San Jose, California that was shut down. So, can you explain to me how a liquor store or gun shops spread the virus, right? It's hard to explain. I haven't seen any good explanation, because it's not about our safety, it's about control. The government is controlling us, and they just aren't telling us what the truth is. They're not telling us this is basically martial law. They're sugarcoating it, and they're taking over, and they don't want people to catch on too fast. So this is going to slowly get worse and worse. I think more states will hit they'll be in this whole shelter in place order. I think maybe all of the country could be under martial law before we know it. Maybe next week. Maybe it'll take a few weeks. Maybe most places they'll just continue to call it shelter in place. How long are they going to push this? How far are they going to push this before they just openly say, hey, look, we had to call the military in? Once people start saying, hey, look, screw you, we're going to gather in groups. If we want to hang out and take our chances, we're going to, and so on. That will give them justification to bring in the troops and say, hey, look, we try to recommend it and it's not working, so therefore we've got to enact martial law. So I think this is coming, and the whole point of this video is I don't think that this is going to be some temporary thing that we just got to wait out like a hurricane. I think this is the plan for the New World Order. Just look up Agenda 21. Look up all the ties that Bill Gates has to all of this. This is another video I want to do in the future. Look up Event 201. Look up ID 2020. I think this could end up leading us into a world where we need a computer chip, the mark of the beast, before we can go into the stores. We're so close to that right now, it's not even funny. So if you look up ID 2020, you'll see Bill Gates just launched, he's not just him alone, but you know what I mean, a new program where they are going to insert microchips into vaccines. And like right now in China, they already have people scanning people for their body temperature before they're allowed to go into a store. Well, that's only because they don't have a vaccine. If they have a vaccine with a computer chip, basically they could have someone at the front of the store, and whenever you're going in, if it shows your computer chip is red and it says that you haven't got this vaccine, you're not going to be allowed in the store because you could affect other people. And this is where it's all going, slowly, piece by piece. They're moving their chess pieces, and as long as you are worried about a virus and stocking up on toilet paper, you're not watching the pieces that they're moving. And each piece that they are moving is taking away our freedom and giving them more power. Now, I do understand that, there are deadly viruses, and there is a lot of merit to quarantine and basically staying away from people, and I totally get that. But what they're doing is unconstitutional, and it could be a strong recommendation. Everything should be done voluntarily. Whenever things are forced, that should raise a red flag. And so, I think that, there's enough fear-mongering going on, and I see a lot of talk about everything from, washing your hands, of course, and everything else. But I don't see a lot of talk about the fact that our rights no longer exist. And the ones that still do exist, oh, well, that's in some states, and some states they still have the right. Look, if the government can take away your right, then you never had it to begin with. It's only at their discretion. And this is the conversation that needs to be had. This is where we need to shift the conversation as a people, as a population. We need to start discussing at what point are we going to allow the government to shut things down? And at what point are we going to say, hey, you know what, that's enough? We need to start having that conversation instead of letting a few people who run the country decide it for us. Otherwise, we're going to all wake up in some dystopian nightmare wondering how the hell we got here. I've got other videos on the coronavirus pandemic on my YouTube channel. I've got a whole playlist I'm creating, and I'll keep creating more as time goes by. So make sure to check that out and subscribe. Hit that like button if you want to hear this information. It will also help other people get this information. My last YouTube channel was deleted because they don't want me telling you the truth. And I suspect that it's going to happen again. So really the best way to keep in touch with me, even if my channel gets deleted, is to go to my website and sign up for my newsletter. And that way we can keep in touch, because last time I lost all of my followers, and it's tragic. It's discouraging, and that's exactly what they want. They want to nip me in the bud, so to speak, so that way they can cut me off before I wake up too many people. So I hope this was informative. I'm sorry it's a little bit of a downer, but trust me, I'm still optimistic about the future. But we must stand up, we must speak up, and stand up for our rights, because if not, no one else will. I haven't shown you this post I want to show you, so without further ado, let's check it out. I just wanted to quickly show you this post, and I'm not going to go through much of it, but I encourage you to go through it, at least skim through it and see what I'm saying. But this is from an MIT guy. We're not going back to normal. That's why I had to do another video. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I should have just kept the same video, but I just saw this post. I'm like, wow. And that's kind of confirmation. I just knew I was onto something. And we're going to be seeing more and more of this. He just goes into all this, like normalization of, like, basically this is how it's going to be from now on. Even saying radically change almost everything we do. I mean, wow. Look, some things never will go back to normal. He didn't even say some things may never go back to normal. He's saying it like, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. This guy's on the inside, probably, you know what I mean? He's he's saying it as a matter of fact. And this confirms my suspicions. I think this is where it's all going. This is their plan, at least. If everyone just sits around and goes along with it, this is what's going to happen. This is our destiny. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that our destiny is to let these people control us. I believe our destiny is freedom. And I think we need to have this brought to our attention. So that way, just this alone is kind of like, making us rethink freedom. We're going to have to. We're going to have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, hey, is this how we want to live? It's kind of like a lot of pressure over time creates a diamond. We learn from making mistakes. We got too comfy letting government control the money supply, control us, take care of us. We've got to become independent. There's no reason why we need to be dependent on no government. There's no reason why we need to let these people have control over us. We can do social distancing without the government. without them bringing in military to keep us indoors, without them making us require papers to drive around. Come on. And if we all agree we don't want a coronavirus, we don't want to all die, then, you know, almost all of us will be on our best behavior. There's no need for it. But come and read this. I mean, it's not that long, but and it's really not that bad of a read. I read it, and I recommend it because this gives you a good idea of where this is going. I think this is, like, for example, this girl, you know they're showing these girls that are doing videos, kind of like almost promoting like a commercial, um, this tracking. In a recent video that I did, I pointed out that, there was a post from a mainstream news article saying the government wants to get location data from cell phones to help with coronavirus. So they're gonna basically they're gonna be able to track us all. I mean, you gotta give up your cell phone otherwise if you don't want them to tracking you. But there's, I mean, come on, man. And now the government's asking, that we're going to do it. And then, right on cue, we've got this scientific article, supposedly, um, promoting, making it cool. Making it cool. This young, pretty Asian girl doing TikTok videos talking about being tracked for coronavirus. Um, yeah. Come and read this. I mean, I should have like picked out some of the things, but I read it earlier, so I don't really know exactly what to point out to you, but it goes in detail and gives you a good idea. So the ball's in your court now. Now you're seeing this is what people think. People they're already bombarding you with propaganda to make you feel like this is normal. And if we allow this to continue as normal, one day it will become normal to us and to all the new lives brought into this world. Unless you and I, right now, unless we take a stand. And that means because if this doesn't get out, if people don't take action, then, nothing will change. So unless you change, nothing will change around you. The more that we share this information, the more that we engage in conversations, and the more that we are brave enough to dare question people's beliefs, if we just put in enough effort to do our part and help, just sharing the info, waking people up, whatever you want to call it, is really about all we can do. We can't hope. I mean, we can hope. I'm sorry. No, we can hope for government to save us, but we absolutely cannot depend on them. Don't wait for no one else to come and save you, because this is serious. And if you look up the word democide, you'll see the atrocities government is responsible for. Governments of all around the world. This is no like right or left or U.S. versus other countries. I mean, this is, our history has been rough, you guys. It's full of terrible things, and we all live in this kind of fantasy world, and the dream is coming to an end. Everyone's about to wake up and realize that it was all an illusion. The financial system, the monetary system, educational system, the legal system, everything. Agriculture. I mean, government. You know what is that? Jeez, it's a whole nother video. But you get what I mean. And if you've made it this long in the video, I'm assuming you're with me. You've probably been listening to this stuff for years like I have. And we've all known it's coming. Now it's here. We got to keep in touch. Right now is the time to bond together. The time when they tell us not to gather together in groups, when they censor the internet. What does that tell you? We need to get together in groups. We need to stick together. We need to use alternative means on the internet. Bypass their censorship. Don't use these big controlled channels. Support small channels like we support small businesses. And yeah, as usual, together we'll all change the world.